Greetings, students! Welcome back to another semester of English at Southeastern Louisiana University. This video is specifically for my dual enrollment students who are taking English 102 with me. And you have perhaps a benefit, perhaps a disadvantage in that you've all actually just taken English 101 with me, so you know a lot about how I work, the types of feedback that I give, and sort of the way that I run my courses. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on introducing myself. I hope you know who I am by now. You've been staring at my head in these videos for months. Instead, I'd like to take a couple moments to highlight some of the ways in which English 102 at Southeastern is really a little bit different from English 101, just so that you're not caught too much off guard as the course progresses. If you've had a chance to look at the course syllabus, you'll perhaps have noticed that some of the things are very similar. A lot of the wording on the policy statements comes from Southeastern Louisiana University, so those have stayed the same. The course goals and the desired outcomes on that first page of the syllabus are actually remarkably similar for English 101 and English 102. You'll just be doing the same things that you learned last semester to a higher level, perhaps in a more complicated way, and certainly at greater length and in greater depth. So the goals of the course haven't really changed, but the degree to which you're expected to embrace them certainly has. You'll also perhaps notice that the essays are weighted a lot more heavily this semester. That's because the real goal of this semester is to get you producing really polished college-level writing by the end of the class, and so you'll be spending a lot more time trying to apply the smaller techniques that earned some points last semester and to produce really polished, finished outcomes. You will be building on every skill that you learned last semester in English 101 in order to complete English 102. It's expected that you'll already be able to write a paragraph, to organize an essay, to use library databases, and to cite your material appropriately. So if you're feeling shaky on one of those sort of integral foundational concepts, I would encourage you to take the time to go back, maybe review grammar modules on my writing lab, maybe review the plagiarism quiz that you took with Indiana University early last semester, maybe watch some of my old videos, boring as they probably are. Of course, I and your facilitator will always be here to answer questions if you have concerns or need extra help, so don't forget to reach out to us as well. Last semester we sort of eased into things. I gave you a lot of feedback along the way on different skills. This semester, the effort should really be coming from you. If you need extra attention or extra help, look in your textbook, look at the resources I have provided, or ask someone for help if you're still confused. Last semester, we also used a lot of different library databases. I know those are still a little bit shaky for some of you, but this semester, every essay you write is going to use those library databases in different ways. For the first essay, you're going to be looking at a subject-specific journal and then broadening your research out. For all of the other essays, you'll also be expected to use those library databases to find reliable, critical, peer-reviewed sources to support the claims that you want to make about the world, about the texts, about whatever it is that you happen to be arguing. This class is also a little shorter. I say that, I'm not sure it actually is shorter this semester. We're taking the full spring semester up until your graduation in April or May. We have only 3 essays, so that gives you about a month to write each of those essays, one starting now and ending in mid-February, another mid-February to mid-March, and another mid-March to mid-April. So you'll have about a month for each essay, which might feel like a lot of time, but it's going to go very quickly as you get into developing sources and other ideas. I also want to remind you that you are Southeastern Louisiana University students, so you do have a number of other resources available on campus, the Writing Center, the IT department, and while you might live fairly far from the Southeastern campus, one small benefit of COVID is that most of those departments are doing a lot of remote work this semester, so you can certainly ask the Writing Center if they'll look at your essay. You can certainly call the IT department on the phone and ask them technical questions. There's a whole page of resources towards the back of your syllabus just before our course schedule, and I'd really encourage you to take a look at those. Now, some important rules. First, and perhaps most importantly, this course has 3 formal essays that you'll have about a month to write each. It has 1 midterm, which is also an essay, and a final essay that is shared in common with every English 102 dual enrollment student. You'll all be taking the English 102 final on the same morning, I believe it's April 26th, right at the end of the semester, just in time for the first dual enrollment students to graduate a few days later. You must submit all 5 essays to pass this course. Last semester, a few of you missed essays, and that gave you a slightly lower grade. This semester, if you miss an essay, you cannot pass the course. So I cannot stress to you how important it is to make sure that you submit every single course essay. You still have one 72-hour amnesty, so if you wake up one morning and you discover that the essay was due the night before, I would recommend emailing me immediately and saying, Dr. Acker, I'm so sorry, I forgot to submit the essay. What on earth has happened? Please may I use my 72-hour amnesty? At that point, you'll need to be very, very attentive to make sure you don't miss either of the other 2 essays. You cannot use that amnesty on the midterm or the final. Those have set times, so you'll need to take them during the set times unless you have a very serious medical or other university-approved exemption. For example, if you get COVID, I don't want you trying to take a midterm exam while you have COVID, so we will make alternate medical arrangements in accordance with the university guidelines. However, it's imperative that you write and submit all 5 of those essays. One thing that I do that a lot of you haven't necessarily been taking advantage of is I do try to make the assignments open until the close date. So that means if you submit something and you realize you've made an error, you ought to be able to go back in, delete the file you've already submitted, or at the very least add a new file, and then you should be able to resubmit. And if you're anxious about getting all of your essays submitted this semester, I would really, really encourage you to use that option. Don't upload something that's plagiarized because that could actually be worse than not submitting the essay. But if you have a full draft and everything is pretty well cited, but you just want to revise it a little more and you have 3 or 4 days, go ahead and put that on Moodle so that it's finished and you know it's there. When you're ready to submit a final draft, go back into Moodle, delete it if you can, upload a new file, and then click Submit again. Now, the submission process is 5 or 6 clicks, so it's possible that some of you haven't been clicking all the way through. Really make sure you click all the way through. Really make sure that the status is changed. There should be a green bar that says uploaded after you've submitted it. And also, your Moodle page is set so that when you submit a file, it should immediately email you a confirmation that the file was uploaded. And if you've got the time, if you're at all able to, I would encourage you to use those as checkpoints. So upload the file, go back in, check the submission page, make sure it says submitted, that it's green. Go into your Southeastern email, check for that email, make sure it says you have submitted the file. Submitting your 5 essays is the most important thing you can do to ensure success in this course. However, there's one more important component of this as well. The focus of Southeastern Louisiana University's English 102 course is not so much passing or good grades as mastery of essential techniques. And the essential techniques that you need to master in order to pass this course are those same course goals and outcomes on the very first page of your syllabus. So I would encourage you to take a couple minutes and go back to that front page and read through that list of things that you need to accomplish in order to master the essential material from this course. Your job this semester is to demonstrate proficiency in all 8 of those areas. At the end of English 102, the 5 essays you must have submitted will be evaluated against those guidelines for mastery, for proficiency in each of those areas. This is going to be called a portfolio. So if you see the word portfolio somewhere on your syllabus, know that your portfolio refers to your 5 course essays, and that your portfolio, those 5 essays as a whole, are going to be evaluated against those 8 skills. Now, it's possible that one of those 8 skills, or even 2 of those 8 skills, aren't going to be essential on one or more of your actual essays. So if your midterm essay doesn't demonstrate use of the university databases, that's entirely okay. In fact, I think some of the midterms and finals at times ask you not to use outside sources, so you might not be able to use database research on those. But taken cumulatively as a corpus of your work, your 5 course essays, the 3 formal ones and the 2 timed ones, need to reflect proficiency in the areas laid out under the course goals and objectives on the first page of your syllabus. If the body of your work doesn't reflect those skills adequately, you could fail the course even if you've passed most of your essays. That's a really important thing to bear in mind. I've heard from many of my colleagues that for many students, the weakest area is citation and accurate use of sources. So I would really encourage you, make sure that you have documented the sources that you've used for each essay. If I pointed out in English 101 that you were struggling to paraphrase and that you were bordering on plagiarism, whether I used that word or not, that's something you should really be careful of. Even if I didn't mention that on one of your essays in English 101, it's still an area that you'll want to take a very close, hard look at. Make sure that you're using the appropriate number of sources, that they are reliable, critical, peer-reviewed when essential, and that you are acknowledging each source every single time you use a source, whether you use them verbatim in quotation marks or whether you paraphrase their ideas and cite them within the sentence or afterwards. It is essential to upload essays that meet the word count, that demonstrate responsible use of sources, that show skilled use of computer technology and the library resources you have available, and that use correct grammar and syntax and audience-appropriate style. Those are your primary goals for this course. This probably sounds a little bit overwhelming, but don't be too worried. Achieving mastery in something can be really daunting and formidable and sometimes even terrifying. So I would encourage you to think of this class like a job. When you have a job, you go to work for set hours each week. While you're at work, your boss gives you tasks that you're expected to do to a certain level of proficiency. If you don't perform those tasks adequately, you might need to keep practicing some of your writing techniques, but your goal is eventually to attain competency in college-level writing. Also, like a job, give yourself some time off. So don't throw yourself into this class so overwhelmingly that you forget about your other classes or about your other life responsibilities. But do treat it like a job in that while you are at work, you want to achieve a certain level of proficiency, and also in that you need to devote a certain amount of time to it each week in order to improve and in order to pass. This is a lot. This is a longer video than I meant to give you, but I want to leave you with a note of encouragement. Be attentive and focused this semester. Watch my videos, read assignment directions very carefully. I always recommend printing out the assignment directions and checking off each element as you have accomplished or mastered it. Print out the Southeastern rubric that's used to grade your papers and read your papers critically, really trying to evaluate where you come against that rubric. Print out the syllabus and read your essays looking carefully at those course goals and outcomes on the first page. Again, see whether your essay demonstrates that you have mastered each of those skills. Most importantly, ask for assistance if you're confused or having trouble of any kind. You have a high school facilitator. She is only an email away. You also have me, and while I can't come and be in the classroom with you this semester, I am also only an email away, and I also try to give you feedback. So take advantage of these resources, of your instructor, of your facilitator, of the other college resources that you have available. Work hard this semester, but don't be afraid to ask for help. We all want to see you succeed. Good luck.